join us, they join us instead of spending too much of our time waiting. So thank you to everyone for coming who's here so far, but we've got 3 guests from Surrey Services for Seniors, which is a great work in our community that I think many of us know some of the things that you do. Probably few of us know all of the things that you do, and almost certainly nobody knows the full range of what you've done in your response to COVID and how that could be of use to people in our own congregation, who we know, to ourselves, or how we might be able to help you. So thank you for being here, and feel free to take over.
Okay. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Karen Fallon, and I'm here presenting with Kathy Henderson, who is the one with the dogs, the dog and the cat. And she's been with Surrey a very long time. She oversees the Delco centers, the food programs at those centers, and the virtual programs. So she's a wealth of knowledge for us, as is Carolyn Bateman, who is a member services rep, and she's going to talk to you guys about a bunch of the wonderful services that we have. My role at Surrey is that I oversee volunteers and all of mission services and membership. And so we are appreciative that Karen reached out, and we'll talk. I'm going to give you a little bit of a background about Surrey. Then Kathy's going to talk about centers, virtual programs, now that, you know, we have reacted to COVID and what we've done there, and with our meal programs, what we're doing differently in terms of, you know, how we're managing that in the current environment. And then Carolyn will talk all about member services. And again, you'll see some of the things that we're doing now that are different than before, but at least you can get a very good idea of the broad range of services that we have. And then I'll finish up by talking about transportation and how to become a volunteer or a member of Surrey. And then we'll take any questions that you guys have. Or you can also just feel free to send something through the chat box or, you know, interrupt, it's fine. However it works best for you guys. Okay. Mm-hmm. Sound good? Okay.
Great.
So a very brief background about Surrey, nonprofit. It's actually, we're actually in our 40th year, which is pretty amazing. It was founded by a woman named Jean LaRouche. And she founded it actually out of her home. She worked, had her first office in the attic of her home in Wayne. And 40 years ago, you know, aging was very different. People didn't live as long. And really what she saw as the main issue back then was transportation and ensuring that as people aged and they stopped driving, they could get rides to doctor's appointments and things. And that's hence the name Surrey. That, you know, if you guys remember the musical Oklahoma, mm-hmm. Surrey, fringe on top, that's kind of how we got our start, how we got our name. And so out of the attic, Jean, she got all of her friends to become volunteer drivers. So we, our mission is to enable older adults to age at home, but remain engaged in the community and have all the supportive services that they need. And, you know, so you think her vision started that way, but really aging now is like a 30 to 40 year journey. And, you know, you start aging and you're hopefully relatively healthy and you can get out to centers and enjoy, you know, congregate meals, enjoy programs with other people that you're meeting, fitness, that kind of thing. But, you know, as you're aging, as you age and your needs change, Surrey provides the whole gamut of supportive services up and including home care. So for people, you know, that do wish to age at home, we do have a home care division that supports people who need personal care, financial management, if they need a live-in, house cleaners, and social companions also. So It's awesome to think that her idea has now uh, grown into not only how we were pre-COVID, but even now, how do we support our members in the community, with things that have started to occur, with all the events that have happened this year. So with that, I will turn it over to Kathy, and she can talk a little bit about the centers, virtual programs, meal programs, and anything else she would like, because she's a great speaker.
Great. Again, thank you for inviting us. We're always thrilled to let people know about who we are and what we do. So obviously it's pre-COVID and post-COVID. So pre-COVID, our senior centers, we have a center in Delaware County in Media, in Havertown, and in Broomall. And then in Chester County, we have a site, our main office in Devon. We did have a site in East Goshen, but that has since closed. So our centers are places for people to get together, to meet new people, try new things, try activities. So it's all about providing opportunities. For most people, it was an exercise class. It could be an educational program. It runs the full gamut of educational, health promotion, exercise, pure fun, parties, games, different things to get people engaged, stay connected to their community. So obviously when our centers literally closed on March the 13th, we're like everybody else, we're like, oh, a couple weeks, this is going to be great. We'll get this under control. 2-3 weeks, we'll be back on our centers. Obviously that did not happen. So literally within probably 5 weeks, we shifted and said, we need to meet people where they are. So we shifted to a virtual format. Exactly what we're doing here. We utilize the Zoom platform. So we actually, each week, we put out a virtual program calendar. We send out an e-blast every Sunday afternoon that announces our classes for the week. So we do our exercise classes on Zoom. We have yoga. We have Qigong, which is something like Tai Chi. We have support groups. We have nutrition programs. We have book clubs. So all the things that we would traditionally do within our centers, we have tried as much as we can to do them on the Zoom format. Obviously, not everybody has the capability or the interest to be able to do something on Zoom. So we have layered in phone-in programs. So that would be for the less tech-savvy older adult. We have a local toll-free 610 area code telephone number that we do phone-in programs. So we do a phone-in book club. We literally play bingo over the phone on Thursday mornings. We have educational programs. We just started a support group. So that is something that's building slowly, but while not everyone has a computer or a tablet, everyone does have a telephone. So we're really trying to support those people. We're finding those less tech savvy people are the most lonely because they don't have the access to what we're doing right now. They can't just jump in on a Zoom call. But to hear their friends over the phone in a group is fantastic. So we're layering things in like having a group lunch. So people are talking about how they desperately miss having lunch with their friends. But if you can bring your own sandwich, sit around in our own homes, have 5 people that would normally get together at lunch around the table at Surrey and just chat while we're eating, it is just a fantastic way to have people stay connected, know that we are supporting them, they support each other. So that's been pretty amazing to just hear how happy people are to connect with people. Early on, we did a couple of Zoom technology classes, and what struck me once was very early on, exactly like this. We had a woman who got on her first Zoom call. She goes, I cannot believe all of these people are in my living room. She's like, I have not seen somebody in a month. So to have like what we're doing now, seeing 12 people on her computer screen just blew her away. So it's those kind of things, just keeping people connected. We are finding 2 other ways to keep people connected. We have a Surrey at Home program. So that is each week, along with our virtual programs, we send out usually 2 or 3 times a week links to activities that you can do on your own time. There are some people that like structured things, that they want to do an exercise class, they need accountability, they need people to do it with. Then you've got some people that manage to stay incredibly busy, want to do their things on their own time. So we send links to exercise programs. We send links to, here's a chance to listen to a lecture. Here is our classical music program. Here's a tour of a museum. So that's just things that people can do on their own time when they want to do them. That's another broad-based, interest-based email that we send out. And the last thing that we layered in is on Facebook. Please check out we have 2 things on Facebook, our Surrey Services site, and then we have something called the Surrey Session. So that is actually a virtual community. So on there, we do fun things. We do trivia. We do Wheel of Fortune. We'll do questions to just questions about things they enjoy doing. I'm loving that because I'm getting the chance to learn things about people. I've learned what their first job was. I've learned how they've met their spouse. I know what people's favorite color is. Like, it's just really cool for me to learn things about each other. So we've got multiple layers of what we're doing post-COVID to keep people engaged, give people the opportunity to still stay as active as they possibly can. We continually try and add new programs. We are always looking for community partners. So if either somebody within your church or somebody you know has a passion, has a skill, something that they would like to share with our members, I would love people to reach out to me. It could be you are a train collector and you want to show people your train collection. It could be you have outside of the church family, you have what you do in your own personal life. If you're a nutritionist, or if you've got something that you are an expert in and would like to potentially do some sort of programming for us, please reach out to me. I'm always looking for ways to get people to learn new things, just to keep active in the lifelong learning process. The other thing that people are really missing is meals. So we are incredibly lucky at our Devon location. We have a professional chef who does all of our cooking. So he's Chef Ben and Mary Ann. So I got to be honest, I'm not as lucky in Delaware County. We have a county contract. So I have a catering company that makes my food for us. But each of our different sites, except for our Broomall location, we shifted from in-site lunches, where some days 20 up to 80 people would come for lunch, to purely grab and go. So Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at our locations, we have essentially a line of people that come. So we package up food for our members who have the interest and the need for food. So they drive their cars up. My location, a lot of people will walk up. We actually give them the food they would normally eat in the centers. We give it to them. They are able to take that home and have that at their house. So they're getting that good nutrition, but it's also a check-in for us. So that's the chance we're making sure that people are doing okay, that they have enough other food in their house. They have their medicines. They're coping with all the things that they have to cope with pretty well. So it's partially meals, but also partially a check-in. So we are finding that the switch from in-center meals to grab and go meals. We've actually almost doubled the number of people that we are now serving. For some people, they're just not comfortable getting to the grocery store. For some people, it is the comfort of knowing it's a good, fantastic meal that they don't have to prepare for themselves. They really relied on our centers for their big meal of the day. And then for some people, it's financial. They just really use and rely on our meal programs for their general sustenance. So where we were thrilled that we were able to, within literally 2 weeks, have that shift from doing things in-house to allowing people and encouraging people to come to our centers to pick up our food. The other big thing that we do is home delivered meals. So each of our Havertown, Media, and Devon locations have home delivered meal programs and Meals on Wheels. So the referral source, or how someone gets involved in receiving the meals, is a little bit different within each site, but we go out to, I'm going to say probably about 100 people a day between our 3 sites, and bring them their food. Again, it is always the meal that we are bringing them, but we know that in that 1 minute to 5 minutes that we're with somebody, that we know that that person is good. Things have changed a little bit with COVID. We're obviously not going into people's houses. We're not super hanging out. There are times pre-COVID, they want you to come in, have a cup of tea, hang out with them for as long as you possibly can stay with them. Things have somewhat changed there, but it's developing those relationships. It's knowing that usually you come to Mrs. Smith's house, she's up, she's dressed, she's looking good. The last week, she's still in her pajamas, seems a little more confused, something's not quite right. So we're also very much the eyes and ears of our community to ensure that the people that we're delivering meals to are doing well. If they're not doing well, we reach out to their social workers, we make sure that they get the services that they need. But I think for almost the vast majority of people that we deliver meals to, the meals is the byproduct. It's really the connection that we have. For many people, we are the only person they might see that day. You might see the mailman, you don't always, but they genuinely look forward to having somebody to check in with, now even more so than ever. We certainly miss all of our in-center meals. And look forward to the day someday in the future we're back in our centers, but we're thrilled that we have expanded our reach both with our grab and goes and our home delivers. So the one thing that I would love to throw out there is we're coming up on the holiday season. I don't know a lot about your church. I don't know if you have some children's groups or child ministry. What we always love is things that are made by kids that we can give to our older adults. So we've got Thanksgiving coming up, Christmas and Hanukkah coming up. And it can be any parishioner, anybody that would like to make a card or fill out a card, any small handmade gifts. We love putting things in our home delivered meal bags. We love putting things in our grab and go bags. So I always throw that out. The joy that somebody gets when they get a card that's made by a 5-year-old child. I love Thanksgiving where you draw your hand, you turn it into a turkey. That just makes me happier than you could ever imagine. And we just love the phone calls that we get when it seems so simple, but for an older adult to get something made by someone in the community lets them know that they're still being thought of. So I just want to throw that out there as just one simple and easy way that your congregation, your family members, your grandkids, whomever in your life, if anybody's willing to help us with some little things to help our holidays be brighter. They're a challenge for a lot of people. They're going to be a bigger challenge, I think, this year. So that's my centers and my meals.
Okay, thanks, Kath.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about Surrey's amazing community partners. Kathy mentioned some of those. I'm going to talk to you about 3 in particular: AARP, which you're all familiar with, Apprise, who works with people with Medicare concerns, and CVIM, which is Community Volunteers in Medicine. They have a wonderful place in Westchester, and we have dental care. So first, AARP, our connection with AARP.
Uh-oh.
Goes with simple tax returns, no real estate or anything like that. But normally for 2 months, from February to April every year, we have people called by appointment, and they're matched up with an appointment time. And Surrey in Devon has devoted 1 day a week, a full work day, with 5 volunteers from AARP who have helped folks with their taxes. It's a very popular program, and they're always booked. I don't know what's going to happen for 2021, but I would give a call after, at the beginning of the year and see, because people call in January and start booking appointments. Last year, AARP pulled their folks for obvious reasons. So that may very well be the case into 2021. We don't know, but it is a wonderful program. CVIM is Community Volunteers in Medicine. We have it normally pre-COVID. We had a hygienist who came to our Devon location once a week, and 1 day a week, and you did, preventive care, hygiene, and cleaning for folks, like 8 to 4, full day. And any service at CVIM, dental service, is free for members of Surrey. There are no questions asked. Normally, to get services, dental services or medical services at CVIM, you would have to, print out all kinds of paperwork and meet all kinds of requirements. But if you're a member of Surrey, you are entitled to free dental care for the basics, for cleanings, for fillings. They don't do they don't do implants and things like that, but they do work with dentists in the area who can help you out that way. So even though they're not coming, and then a dentist would come once a month to the Surrey location. Now that's not happening, as you can imagine, since March, but the office in West Goshen is open. So if you're a Surrey member, you can go to West Goshen, and you can be seen by dentists and hygienists there by appointment.
Can you turn that kitchen light on?
So that's a wonderful thing. Now, and our relationship with them is just, so many people take advantage of that. So it's a great service. The other one I want to talk to you about is Apprise. Apprise is different county by county, but basically these are the volunteers that the trained volunteers that talk to folks about anything Medicare related. Medicare supplemental insurance, Medicaid, long-term care insurance. These are all, as I said, trained volunteers. Now they still are operating virtually every Monday morning. So if you call, most of you are probably Delaware County. If you're from Chester County, you would call the Devon office. The Devon office can also help you get an appointment for Delaware County folks. But and you can also call directly to the Wayne Senior Center and get your appointment there. So, and that's a beautiful thing, because as probably most of us know, Medicare is not easy to navigate. There are lots of questions. As you know, there's open enrollment every year. That ends on December 7th this year. So if you need to make any changes, or if you have any questions, please be sure to be in touch before that time, as soon as possible, actually, because, with October almost being over, December 7th will be here before we know it. But so that they're all valuable and wonderful services. We also do our little group that we'll work with Karen, make a lot of friendly phone calls to folks, to members who are just needing a friendly voice, wanting a check-in. We have volunteers who make calls, and we also make calls ourselves. So that's a wonderful thing. Many of the folks are in the lunch program. Many of the folks avail themselves of other things as well. And many of our people in Surrey do make calls to other folks. So it's a lovely thing. So that's very valuable. We also do a lot of information referral. People call us for example, names of contractors, and even though we don't have a direct relationship with contractors, or we don't work with them directly, we do try to recommend people that Surrey folks have used and recommend. So we do have that. And we also normally, pre-COVID, had volunteers go into members' homes to do everything from, changing batteries in anything, changing light bulbs, helping with, small things like, thermostat problems this time of year are often an issue, water issues, that kind of thing. A lot of our volunteers are very capable and do a lot of things. Now, since COVID, they're limited to outdoor work. So that's unfortunate, because there are a lot of folks that need help that we can't really provide right now, but we do try to do things outside for them as much as we can. And depending on the volunteers that we have at any given time, that we can match up. So those are some of the things that we do, and some of the partnerships that we have. So it's been wonderful talking to you.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to talk briefly about Surrey Transportation, and then a little bit about our volunteers and membership, and then we'll take any questions that you guys have. So as I mentioned, transportation was the genesis for Surrey 40 years ago. At this point, we have about 60 volunteer drivers, and that was pre-COVID. Right now, a lot have opted out at this time, but we do have about 15 volunteer drivers that are currently driving for us. And so when members need a ride, they call hopefully a week or two in advance of an appointment that they may have. And our first goal would be to match the member with a volunteer that would agree to take the ride. And we used to make phone calls back and forth. At this point, we have a great automated email program that captures all of the member requests and sends an email out to the drivers that are currently taking rides, and lets them know that, Mrs. Smith needs to go to this doctor in Wayne on Monday, and Mr. Jones needs to go to this hospital, Lankenau Hospital on Thursday, and gives the times. And we then ask the volunteers if they can take any of these rides. Of course, we can't always count on volunteer. They do a wonderful job for us, but we don't always have a match. So we ask that all of our members that use our transportation are also signed up with the county service. So in other words, community transit in Delaware County and Rover in Chester County. And we actually have a paid driver staff too. Currently now we're using about, I think, 4 to 6 paid drivers. We have a few more on staff, but that's basically, we're keeping the drivers with the demand that we have currently. And anyway, these paid drivers will drive on behalf of the county. So if you're used to taking community transit, whatever the fee would be that you would pay to get a community transit vehicle, you would then pay Surrey. And then we work our arrangement with community transit to get the rest of the state reimbursement for that ride. As you can imagine, things have changed dramatically post-COVID. However, have a van where we would put maybe 6 to 8 people on a van at the same time and take them from that has completely gone away. And we're only transporting one member and the driver in a car at the time at this point, and it's limited to essential rides such as getting to a doctor, getting to the grocery store. I say essential. We actually now we are also getting members to getting their hair cut, because as we all know, after months of not being able to get your hair cut, it was pretty exciting when you finally were able to get somebody to cut your hair and keep you trimmed up. So we are getting our members to get their hair cut too. We do have screening forms that we use before a member gets in a car. We ask the members questions about, it's a COVID screening form, and we ask the driver the same questions, so that we're always making sure that if there's any, potential contact with a member and a driver in the same car, that both have been asked these same questions. And we keep all that paperwork on file. The drivers have thermometers, the ones that you can put up to a forehead, to record any temperature. And after the member is finished their ride, the cars are wiped down, and then prepared for the next ride that the driver has taken. So it's changed considerably from the way we used to do things, because we're not doing groups going anywhere, whether it's to a center or to a grocery store. But for the most part, we're keeping up. The demand is increasing with each week in terms of how many rides we are being asked to provide. And we do also have a paid driver staff that does personal, what we call personal driver service. So if somebody needed to get to the airport, let's say, we would provide that on a per hour basis, that service. And so that pretty much is transportation. And then becoming a volunteer or a member, pre-COVID, we had a volunteer base of about 1,300 volunteers, half of those being individuals and half of them being groups that would come to us and help us with larger project work. Right now, we are only using about 150 volunteers, because again, we're limiting the contact, and we're trying as best as we can to really make sure that we're as safe as we can possibly be through everything that we're going through. So, we do, again, look forward to the days we have just such loyal volunteers who love what they do for us. But, many of them helped us in the centers. And of course, with centers being closed, we don't have that opportunity. But if you thought of becoming a volunteer, we have many, when we're open, we have many different opportunities available. And that request could come to me. So we'll make sure that Karen has our contact information if it was something that you were ever interested in. And our membership is, our dues are $50 a year annually. But we are a helping neighbor organization. And so if anyone ever needs our service that can't afford a membership, we provide that anyway. So we're thrilled to help anyone and want to help anyone that needs our help. And so I think, in a nutshell, I think we've probably provided pretty much of a broad overview of all the things that we do. And at this point, if there's questions, we'd be happy to answer them.
one of you said earlier about different services being free to people who are members. So in order for someone to be a member of Surrey services, that's up to their family or the person themselves to contact someone at Surrey and say, I would like to be a member and be able to use your services. Is that how that happens, or is that person recommended by someone, or how do you do that?
You can go on our website, www.surreyservices.org, and you'll see a button to click on of how to become a member. Very simple. It'll ask a few questions and ask for a credit card for the $50. Or we can mail out. You could contact me, and we can mail out a membership form. And then from there, we'd send out some more information to you as a new member. And then hopefully, if you provide an email address, then you're automatically connected to our monthly newsletter via email, or we have hard copies of that still sent out to some people that prefer that method. And also just going on the website and seeing all the all the different services that we offer. It's all there.
Okay. And so in order to volunteer, you must be a member also. Is that what I understood?
No, we have volunteers of all ages, which I love. And so most people come to us if they're not interested in becoming a member, or they're too young, or they would just come because they love the mission. So we work with college students, we work with high school students, young kids that might make cards or come pre-COVID sing concerts for us at our centers. We have wonderful relationships with a lot of special needs organizations that help us with some of the things, volunteering in our cafes, which is awesome. Just to be able to provide people those opportunities and ways to connect. So any age would be as long as we can find a match. And I do call myself a matchmaker, in that if you were interested in volunteering, what I would do is listen to what it is that you like to do and want to do. And I know the needs of the organization. And so I'm trying to match you with the organizational needs. And that's how we get things going when we have new volunteers starting with us.
Okay. Just as a totally off, why did you close that lovely little thrift shop in Lawrence Park?
I'll
One
jump
that
in
was
for that
in
one.
the,
They lost their lease.
oh, that was a lovely little place.
And that's it's been a couple years, but that's the question we got the most often. Why did that close? Yeah, they wanted the building owner wanted to use it for a different reason. They genuinely tried to find another location, but it was hard, given the finances, to find something that made sense to be able to pay rent and still have. So we do have a consignment shop. Fully understand consignment shop does not equal thrift store. Consignment shop is obviously higher end. That currently is closed as well, but that's in Devon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No, I missed the thrift shop too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, quick question. So the $50 a year gets a person access to the grab and go meals and the ability to use your transportation volunteer people. Do they have to pay extra for that, or the $50 allows them at, the check-in phone calls as well? How does that sort of work?
Yes, that is correct. when our centers were open in Devon, we charged for lunch because we don't have a county arrangement like Kathy was talking about in Delaware County. But right now we have the funding for the grab and go in whether we're talking Devon or Delaware County. So those lunches are free. Now, if a member were to need Meals on Wheels, they would have to get that set up through Meals on Wheels, and there's a charge for that service. So all the other things that you spoke of would not be any additional charges, aside from the fact that if we could not find a volunteer to take a member and they had to take a Surrey, have a Surrey driver through the shared ride in their county, whether that's Rover or Community Transit, there would be a charge for that. And it follows the same charges that are published on both of those county websites. But a volunteer would not, if the volunteer would not ask for any money, and if you wanted to give money, the volunteer would tell you that you could donate, make a donation, but the volunteer won't accept any money. And the only other thing that there's a charge for, as you can imagine, would be if a member starts to need our home care services. That's a completely separate financial model. That doesn't the $50 a year wouldn't cover home care services, but all the other services, yes, they are they're included in that.
And your organization would assist with somebody applying to get that covered, those home care services covered. Are you Medicare and Medicaid approved?
Mm-hmm.
So they would assist with making sure that that got billed through to their insurance company?
Yeah, they're experts at that.
Oh, okay, good.
So yeah, they've we have social workers, and people that do this all the time, which is awesome, arrange for the care.
And
Our care is non-medical, so we are companions and
right,
aides.
and
So yes,
housekeeping, yeah.
Some of our services are not ever going to be Medicare covered.
Okay,
Aid
sorry.
or companion is not going to be covered by Medicare, so that's going to be private. It will be privately paid.
All right, and those fees, like you could help the families, the fees for that, you would help with them getting that paid and stuff.
For companions,
Yeah. So if a family member wanted a companion, one of your staff would be, now, would they pay Surrey directly, or do they pay the companion person?
so the nice thing about our home care company is all of our staff are Surrey Services employees. We do not have contractors. So all of our home care employees are Surrey Services. So they're fully licensed, bonded, insured by Surrey Services. They're our staff. So it would go through Surrey Services.
Have you been, any of your clients live in any of the many assisted living and long-term care? Like, do you reach out to anyone that's in an assisted living kind of place, or or a senior living, or have you not?
So the challenge I'm going to say challenge in some assisted livings is some places have like a preferred provider. So anybody that lives in any care community can choose who they would like to have for their home care provider. So yes, but just some places seem to have contracts or relationships with specific ones. But we're always looking to help as many people as we possibly can. So we have companions in several different care communities in our area.
And also, is there a specific, Sorry, my phone's talking to me. Um, is there like an age limitation? So if you had somebody perhaps,
I seem to be having trouble hearing you. Sorry about that.
sorry. So if you had someone that's not over 65 or considered a senior, but is perhaps developmentally disabled or has other disabilities, do you also provide services for that kind of clientele?
Our age is really 55 plus. And so we don't really go lower than that, just in that, we pretty much have our hands full with that, the 55 plus. Unless it is a volunteering kind of opportunity, like I mentioned, where oftentimes they're accompanied by a coach when they come in, and they're wonderful. We find great things for them to help us with, and so it works out that way.
And you briefly touched on the telephone calls. Have you been finding that's been pretty good for, like, I think in our congregation, we sometimes have people that probably aren't tech savvy enough to get them up and running. Do you have anybody that's like been able to help some of the not tech savvy people get their internet up and running, and utilizing, like, I think Comcast has that low income based internet services. Is there anyone that you have that could help people like that get their internet? Yeah.
Well, I'll
I mean,
jump into
have
that.
you-
So
yeah.
we are currently working on exactly what you're talking about, but even beyond that. So we have written some grant proposals, and we're hoping to have some funding come in shortly for what we're calling a technology lending library. So there are people that don't have access to a tablet. They just don't have the funding, the money right now to purchase something. So we're getting funding where we'll be able to literally lend people not only a tablet, but a hotspot that would provide that internet access. Then we are partnering with, we've developed some relationships, most recently with Penn State Brandywine campus, their civic and community engagement group, who are willing to do some of the tech support. Just because somebody hands you a tablet does not mean that you can just automatically pop it on and be ready to jump into a Zoom call. So we are always looking for, not that it has to be a younger person, but let's face it, younger people just seem to intuitively know how to do things. It takes me 4 hours, it takes them 7 minutes. So we're utilizing the skill sets of younger people, the millennials, those different types of groups that have just grown up on technology to help support our older members. It's not only getting started, it's ongoing tech support. So that's another thing that we would love to throw out there as an opportunity. If you have, it takes a unique person to help an older adult, because it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of explaining, it takes a lot of patience. But if there are people in your world that you think would be a good match for helping us with some tech support, Karen would be another great person to connect with about our volunteering opportunities. We're always looking for ways to help that transition from in person to doing things virtually. And if not, the phone has been just a wonderful way. If you're not going to get on a Zoom call, let's do it over the phone. And there'll be some people, no matter what we try, will never want to be on the computer, and that's perfectly fine with us. So we got to come up with those ways to meet people where they are.
It'd be very interesting to follow up and see what this hotspot lending library, that sounds like something that we could potentially use. There, for a couple of at least our members.
Mhm.
I think we acquired a couple tablets, but haven't been able to really get that set up with someone. So I'll reach out to Karen to get to follow up with you guys
Great.
about that, because I think that's, I mean, let's face it, this isn't going to change for, I'm almost sad to think that this is going to go well into the next year, but, I'd be very, interested to see what you have.
Right. So our plan is to preload our tablets with specific programs. So it would be, you would have Zoom on there already. This way you don't have to upload or download something. You would have the library app so you can check out a library book, the things that we feel people will use the most. The ultimate goal is, and we don't have all the details worked out, but the somewhat of a caveat is to utilize this program. We're going to encourage to get involved in our programs as well. I mean, that's the real point for us, is to lend these tablets out with the express purpose of connecting with what we are offering. What else you do with them is up to you, but we would want people to have the understanding that we want you to connect with what we're doing virtually. But yeah, we're super excited. We want to get like tens of thousands of dollars and buy all the tablets we possibly can. So we've got lots of grant proposals out there. We're hoping we'll get some funding coming through shortly.
There we go. Sorry, that sounds really, really cool. And you said you connected through Penn State Brandywine?
So we're using one of their civic engagement clubs as our tech support, as well as some other, a board member's friend started her own nonprofit, which always blows me away. That is really like peer-to-peer, but they're willing to help us out a little bit. So we're always looking for community partners for that tech support. It's going to be an ongoing thing as we hunker down for the next 6 months. At least.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Okay, thanks.
Sure.
Eileen, those last things you were asking about the lending thing, I'm assuming you're hoping for some of the members of the church that have been totally secluded from church, from meetings, from Zoom, from Sunday services, because they don't have that access at home, correct?
So what Kathy was saying, and I'm going to look into that, because I know Xfinity has community hotspots, and they also have available free or very low cost internet access. But preloading the tablets is something that we didn't even think about. And the other thing is the tablets, which is very interesting, that some people may want to use them as like Kindles, and that we could get them access to the local libraries and get them, not only engage them with us on Zoom calls and via Twitch, but also they'll be able to, go to their local library. I mean, Delaware County has a pretty robust online presence in their library system. So that would be something. I never even thought about preloading them with anything. And I'm going to explore the hotspot thing, because I recently had my internet go down here, and they kept saying, well, you can just get on a hotspot and troubleshoot your internet. I'm like, no, I can't, but apparently you can. So that would just be something to look at for, like you said, the people in our community and our congregation that have completely been cut off.
Yeah.
But if we set everything up for them and make it as easy as possible.
Yeah.
And
the deacons have been working on that.
yeah,
We just got a little stalled out on the hooking them up to the internet in an affordable way.
and it looks like that some of the the providers, I stumbled upon something at, like I said, Xfinity, and there's free and then there's extremely low cost. It's like $10 a month for internet.
Mm.
And, that is something I don't know. Linda would have to tell me what the deacons look like and if we could afford to pay that out front for somebody for a year.
Yeah.
Or could we help someone qualify for the free stuff?
Mm.
So, I mean, that's just something to look at. But
So you guys doing all your services on Zoom at this point? What are you guys doing?
We've been using, well, we do this sort of thing on Zoom, but our services have been on Twitch.
Okay.
And I'm not the tech genius behind that, but apparently it is often used for gaming. And unlike Zoom, which is entirely interactive, it is really, we do the service and people watch the service and they can type in chat messages, but we don't have to worry about the kind of Zoom bombing, security things. You don't have to worry about somebody accidentally being unmuted or, anyway, those sorts of things. So that has worked well. And then we're able to post those on YouTube later.
Okay.
Much as I will post this on YouTube later, so that we can make it available to people who, maybe don't do that platform, but could do an easier platform with a link. Yeah, and then we're doing some similar things. Some of us get together every afternoon on Zoom, and we've done a range of other programs on Zoom. And the youth are on Discord, which I've never even done.
Okay.
Those are our three.
Great. Thank you.
Does anybody else have other questions for them?
So real quick, just to kind of reiterate, so if a member, if someone connects with you and it's a $50 a year membership, that gets them access to some services, mostly the check-in calls, the grab and goes. Now the grab and goes, they do have to pay for that, or?
No, currently we have funding for the grab and go. Yeah.
Okay.
So free. But for the most part, people come to the center, one of the centers, in a car to get the meal. Or Kathy was saying, probably in media they walk.
Right. Yeah.
But we do some deliveries to of our grab and goes if somebody cannot get to one of the centers.
And now the availability of using the volunteer drivers, is that 7 days a week or just 5 days, Monday through Friday?
5.
I'm sorry?
Pretty much just 5 days a week.
Okay. And that includes what you said, doctors?
Right now,
Yeah.
doctors, grocery stores, and haircuts.
Okay, haircut. And you haven't gotten anybody that'll go to do haircuts outside for you yet?
We have not.
No. I'm kind of surprised. So
Yeah.
that seemed to be a very popular kind of volunteer thing to do for a little while. That people would do them outside.
No, we just made a lot of people happy getting them back to, and I know I was happy. That first haircut was just like unbelievable after all those months.
Mm-hmm. I would just like to say that I'm a Surrey member, and I have taken advantage of their exercise program, their gym, the different exercise programs that they do have offered, and of course their luncheons. And it is so worthwhile. And it is, for $50 a year is really nothing, to pay for the services that you're going to get and, the benefit that you will get from using a place like Surrey.
Well, thank you, Linda.
We didn't even plant her here. That was wonderful.
Anybody else have questions or comments?
Real quick, do you guys put out your services? I work in an emergency room, and I didn't know if you like have connections with any of the local hospitals that you put that out there to the social services people.
So I do know our home care company does reach out. It's probably more so to doctors' offices. So we put our information, again, pre-COVID, anywhere that we can possibly have people's eyes on it. I mean, we're always looking for new partnerships, new connections. So if you have somebody that we would be able to connect with, we always love that as well. I love hospital systems because they can have, we can always have a guest lecturer coming in to talk about the latest and greatest health news. So if you have potential community partners for us, we would love to hear who I should be reaching out to. We love partnerships in every way, shape, and form is what we're all about. It's just how everybody gets more things done and we do things better.
So now I'm muted now.
No, now you're muted.
Now I'm not muted. Okay. I will, I only work weekends, so a lot of times those particular people aren't around, but I will try and reach out.
That's great.
And ask. I work at Riddle, and I have a huge geriatric population that comes in.
That's
But
fantastic.
That
Thanks,
is always one of the things that concerns me is a lot of our the population that I see. Like the last weekend I worked, this gentleman lived with his son, but his son, I think, was getting overwhelmed with him. But it would be nice to be able to say, hey, reach out to these people, might be able to help you.
Yeah.
So, but I'll see if it's, who you could reach out in social services might be the people.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Yes. So many groups, I mean, especially at the hospitals, they aren't allowed back in the hospital now to do volunteer services. I volunteered at Riddle Thrift Shop for 5 years.
And I'm so
Riddle
bummed
Thrift
that
Shop
that's
is
gone
closed
too.
and will be closed but every week there were at least 100 volunteers in that building. And some of them are lost with nothing to do. This was their place to go to, seeing people, helping people, whatever. And it's there would be 100 people who might possibly want to do something. I mean, Lord knows when any volunteer groups are going to be opening up at the hospitals anymore. I don't foresee it for a long time. I'm sure Eileen doesn't see it either. So,
And our volunteer, the numbers we're using now is dramatically lower too. We're down to about 150 out of about 650 individuals, basically because our centers are closed, and some people just aren't comfortable, interacting, So
right.
We take it as it comes, and we're all just doing our best trying to get through a crazy time. That's definitely how I feel about this year. So
I agree with that. A lot of adapting.
yes, every day.
Well, thank you so very much for coming and spending your evening with us.
Thank you.
I think it was
Thank you for having us.
lovely.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of great information, and I think it looks like you guys do really great work. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Did anybody else have something lingering that you wanted to say or didn't get to ask, or that you'll regret later?
You can always call us or contact us. Please do.
Well, then, thank you so much. We're very grateful, and
Thank you.
I'm sure we will talk to you soon.
Thank you